Hello, friends. Welcome to Heidi's Colorful Colorado. I'm your host, Heidi Daniel, a wife, mom of four, CU Regent, and the founder of Camp Bow Wow and the She Factor. With a passion for keeping the spirit of our state alive and well, I started this podcast to bring the people of Colorado together to celebrate the amazing state we call home. Come along on this journey with me as I travel across our old country roads in my vintage RV, interviewing folks that embody the true spirit of the Rocky Mountains. From the Front Range to the mile-high city to the Wild West of Southern Colorado, we'll celebrate the history, beauty, and Coloradans that make this place the colorful state it is. Each week, you'll meet people trailblazing the way for an even more colorful future for us all, making a huge difference along the way. Are you ready for a Rocky Mountain ride? Let's do this, Colorado. Hello, everyone. Heidi with Heidi's Colorful Colorado. I'm here in Grand Junction and spending time with some wonderful people who are all about building community here. One of those folks is a friend of mine, Bobbie Daniel. Bobbie, you have done so many things in your life already. You're so young, but you've been an author, you've been a business owner, you've given back in so many ways. You're a mom of four. So I wanted to talk to you today a little bit about building community and bringing people together, because I really think you set such an amazing example on that front.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for having me, Heidi. It's just a pleasure to be on the show. I love it. So getting things done, I think as a mom, you just kind of blaze through it. You know, you're like, okay, what do I need to accomplish today? And how do I meet the needs of those around me? And I think that's just what we do as moms. So thank you for having me.
Of course. I want to go back to the beginning, as they say. You grew up in Palisade, right?
I did. So I was born in Meeker. We have a 6th generation pioneer family. My dad's a coal miner, and he mined over in Paonia. And we moved to Palisade when I was in 3rd grade, and graduated from Palisade High School in 1998. And I spent a year at Mesa State College before it was the university. And, you know, when you're young, you have no idea what you want to do. So I ended up getting accepted into the National Community Corps, the NCC, so AmeriCorps program. So it's like Peace Corps, but it's domestic. And so I just thought, man, I want to do something. I don't know what I want to do with my life yet, but I really want to serve. So I was accepted after my freshman year at Mesa, and I was able to go serve over in Denver, actually. It was the old Lowry Air Force Base. Now there's like $1 million homes on it. But
yeah, it doesn't look quite the same.
No, it was quite the change. We were really close to East Colfax at the time, and it was just enlightening to see the difference. Growing up here, I feel like a lot of our community meets the needs of each other, and so coming to a different place, and you have service members from all over the country coming and staying, so you kind of have a dorm area life, and then they put you out on what's called a spike. So it's about 6 weeks, and you work on a project. So one of our first projects was Habitat for Humanity, and we built over 20 houses in a blitz build.
Oh, wow. In 6 weeks?
Yeah.
That's a lot.
We got sent out to Texas. So we were in Lubbock, Texas. And one minute you're framing a house, and then the next minute you're filling in caulking and molding. And then they send you over here to do something else. So I spent 3 days actually roofing a house. They didn't.
This is a talent I didn't know about you.
So they have pillows for your knees, and then you're on there with short nails, because you don't actually want to go through the roof on the house. So you use short nails, and they didn't really speak a lot of English. We're in Texas. I mean, that's pretty normal. And they just showed me how to do it, and I learned in 3 days. So I'm roofing the house. So they leave, and the women's build across the street, they need a roof built. And nobody's there to help. Nobody's there. And I'm like, well, I learned how to do this like just now. So I think I can do this. So I walked across the street and I led the team roofing that house. And again, we're just putting shingles on it. Not like I'm using some great engineering skills or anything, but that story really stuck with me. You got to see what the need is and just meet it. and walk across the street and build that roof.
I love that. Yeah. We actually did, we worked with Habitat for Humanity when I was building Camp Bow Wow, and we did a team building event around it. And it was down in New Orleans where we had our conference right after Hurricane Katrina. And one of the things I remember is that they wouldn't let us use nail guns. They were afraid we would hurt ourselves. And I'm like, wait, you're expecting us to like put this whole house together and we can't use any automated tools.
Yeah. Here's a nail file. Have fun.
It was. I thought that was just kind of fun. But we had a great experience. That was a wonderful team building experience and really fulfilling and a good way to give back.
It is a good way to give back. So just kind of serving at that local level and knowing, okay, now I know how to build a house. I have the idea of it. And look what we can accomplish. So I think that really planted some seeds in me moving forward. We built outdoor classrooms. In Oklahoma, we did education in Aurora, teaching kids about health and safety. It was just an incredible program. And so then after that, I moved into business ownership. I started my own salon when I was 23 in Grand Junction on Main Street. And I think just being fearless, just saying, well, somebody's got to walk across the street and build that roof. And so that really, you just jump in and then you kind of learn as you go. And, as you know, opening up a business is just quite incredible, but the stories that you hear and from the people. So I did hair for 12 years. And you're just problem solving. So when someone comes in to get their hair done, you ask them, what's working, what's not working, how much time do you want to spend on this, what's your day-to-day look like, if you could change one thing, what would you change? And so you're having these really intimate conversations and you're really building trust and building a relationship. And then you're solving problems, and you really build these incredible relationships with folks, and which led me to write my book.
Yes, tell me more about this book because I want to hear some of your solutions. You have some big ideas in that book.
Oh, thank you. Well, I think at the end of the day, everybody just tells you everything. Hairdressers, they don't get paid for doing hair. They get paid for listening.
That's true.
They do. So you just kind of connect some of those dots as you're doing hair and realize that for me, people just wanted to be more in charge of their lives. They wanted more options and choices. And, we have teachers come in and welfare workers and business owners, and they would say it maybe in a different way, but they really did want to have more control over their own lives. And so the government shut down in 2013. And as a mom, you're just like, get it together.
Yeah, really? Come on.
Right.
I can get 4 kids out the door dressed with lunch most days.
Yeah, you're like, this isn't that hard, and I'm talking to people every day and everyone has amazing ideas and solutions. And so we would just, hey, what would you do if you could fix it? What are some things that you think could meet the community needs better? And so I sat down on my kitchen table and I ended up writing 38 chapters. It just kept coming and coming and coming. So I published the book in 2016, and the book is Solutions from a Nobody, using founding principles to solve modern day problems.
Solutions from a Nobody. Can people find it on Amazon?
Yes, they can. Yeah, it's on paperback on Amazon. And it's, you just kind of thought, well, at least I thought, at the end of the day, I'm like, I'm just a mom, but here we are, and I have something to contribute. Mm-hmm. And I think that's one of the biggest wins in America. It doesn't matter who you are, where you come from, your story is valuable, and you can make a difference. So after writing that book, I started Moms Empower Moms, and we just talk about civics. How do we get involved? You matter. Your story matters. And you have a voice. So I just keep seeing, hey, there's a problem. Well, let's go and fix it. Let's just walk across the street and roof that house. And I think that's the magical element of moms. We're not waiting for somebody to come and do it for us. We're just getting it done. So
do you think that's why more women are getting involved in politics? I mean, I think we have the most women in Congress we've ever had right now, right? And we have a fairly new woman Republican Congresswoman in Colorado.
We do.
And right where you live. And I think moms are realizing that they can make a difference. They can find their voice. They can put their hand up and be the change we want to see in politics.
Yeah. I think too, growing up, I always thought there was this, if I was doing something new, I thought, oh man, there's this special place in my career with maybe my doctors. There's a special place where you know everything. Mm-hmm. And then when you get there in your career and you're like, oh, I should never have second guessed myself so much because I deserve a seat at this table. And I have something to offer, and not everyone has it figured out, you know, and everybody's just doing the best that they can. And your story, your opinion, it matters. And there is no special place where all the perfect people live, because that's not real.
No. And our politicians are certainly not perfect people. And they need us moms, us entrepreneurs, us business leaders, us community leaders.
Yes.
To engage with them and help them find solutions. Things are changing so fast right now.
Yes.
And if our kids are going to have the same opportunities that we did, we got to step it up and we got to speak up and find our voice for them.
Right. Yeah. I couldn't have said it better. That really, you know, for me, it's like I want, and especially living in Grand Junction in Mesa County, I loved living here. I loved growing up in this really idyllic Norman Rockwell kind of America. And then I just want that for my kids. And that's, moms just want to recreate that for their kids. They want those memories, the joy, the safety. And so no one's going to do it for us. So we really know that as moms. And I think we can see our strengths. Mm-hmm. Hey, I see this in you. Mm-hmm. I think you'd be an incredible leader. Why don't you throw your hat in for that board or that commission? And just knowing what's out there, I think I'm really passionate about. When I started Moms Empower Moms, there's so many cool places where we can have a seat at the table, and especially at that local level. Sometimes you just got to turn off the 24-hour news cycle and just shut that off and go, okay, what can I do in my own backyard? Mm-hmm. And how can I be the change that I want to see? Yeah.
What are a couple of the most pressing issues over here in Mesa County, politically speaking, or, on the landscape?
Yeah, well, I think broadband has been really highlighted, especially with COVID, and to the Western lifestyle. People are moving over here to the Mesa County to get out of traffic, to get out of high crime rates, to get out of XYZ. I mean, the list goes on. And so in Mesa County and in Grand Junction, it's way more full. We have big dreams over here, so I want to make sure that those people can work from home, that we can and have that. And with COVID and everything kind of being shut down, we needed broadband infrastructure like yesterday. So it's really good that we focus on some of these infrastructure problems and looking into the future. Mm-hmm. How do we have affordable housing? How do we make sure we can take on more families and grow our community that way? And then one of my soft spots is healthcare. Growing up when I don't think my parents stressed about healthcare as much as our generation has to worry about healthcare. I mean,
why is that, Bobbie? Is it because we've become more acutely aware of how much technology and innovation can help us on the health side, or is it because the government's too involved, like many other issues, and it gets in the muck and mucks it up?
Well, oftentimes it is some of these well-intended policies that tend to backfire. I do have a little short story. It's called the cobra effect. It's something that happens within economic policy. So kind of veering off, in New Delhi, they had a cobra problem. And so the government said, well, we're going to pay everybody who brings us a cobra. We'll pay them. So there was an incentive to get the cobras off the street. So people started getting rid of the cobras, bringing them in, and then the government would pay them money. And then people started growing cobras, birthing them in their house and breeding them.
Gosh.
Yes. So it was an incentive to breed. So they'd bring them. So they were cleaned up off the streets, but in people's houses. And then the government caught on, hey, okay, this is probably not the best a deal for us. So they stopped growing, or they stopped paying for the cobras. So then they're like, we're going to stop that policy. So then they do. but then everyone releases the cobras from their house.
Oh my gosh.
So then,
that's quite a story.
Yeah. And then they ended up with way more cobras than they would have if they just gotten out of the whole way. So it's just speaks to well-intended policies that tend to go awry down the road. So oftentimes that's what happens with government. It's everybody has the best intentions, but what are those policies? So it kind of happened in healthcare. We step into businesses and then they have to kind of play catch up. And so anyways, it's just these big problems. But I think more options and choices, we end up getting better quality product. And in any other industry, that's what happens when we have competition and we get higher quality of product and higher quality of care. So that's just a founding principle that can be applied to almost anything. So,
boy, that's the truth. I mean, you look at LASIK for your eyes, or you look at plastic surgery, right, or a lot of dental work or orthodontics. Yes. It's gotten more efficient, better able to solve the problems, yes, and less expensive.
Exactly. Right.
Voila.
Yeah. So if you take into account, TVs. Remember when TVs came out? I don't remember when TVs actually came out, but
I don't either. But yeah, I see. I remember the old little black and white boxes that would have the fuzz on them.
Right. Yeah. But the quality has improved and cost has gone down.
Mm-hmm.
I can only imagine what it would look like if kind of government got in the way of that. It would have been really a much harder climb to get that result. So I think we need to kind of take steps back and look at ways that we can make sure that we have more options and choices. And that's really all I did in my book. I applied that basic principle. How can I make sure you're the one making the decisions and the politician is not? And it's like the political ruling class. I don't want you picking paint color on my house, let alone picking my XYZ.
Now, there you go. The HOAs are a pretty powerful force in our lives.
Right.
Yeah, talk about a microcosm of government. And,
yes.
Yeah.
So, as a business owner, I think giving business owners as much options and choices as an individual, as a mother, when people can make more options and choices in their own lives, then we all have a more fairer society and more freer society. So those are some of the policy things that I'm advocating for.
I think as I've traveled the state with Heidi's Colorful Colorado, I've heard this a lot. Like, one of the reasons people move to Colorado is to have more control and choice in their life, and to live this kind of rugged individualist way of the wild, wild West, right?
Yeah.
And it's one of the things I love about the Western Slope.
Yes.
People still have that attitude and that energy and that go big theme in their lives. And, I think we need to try and get back to that.
I agree. We're from ranchers and coal miners in my family. And if you need something done, you go out and you do it. And to have that kind of gumption and that pioneer, the Oregon Trail. Did you play that in school? I did. The Oregon Trail. It was this little computer game. I think I was 3rd, 4th, 5th grade. And I always died in it. Stuck somewhere in Michigan or something, but you have the Oregon Trail. You start out in New York and you gather all your supplies in your wagon and then you make your way west. And it was a video game on a computer, like Atari. But the whole idea was, could you make it? Could you make the best decisions? Could you provide for your family? Can you think steps down the road? And so there's enough challenges in the world. You certainly don't want to get any challenges coming from government. So you want your dreams to be big and you want your horizons to be endless and anything's possible. And I think that really embodies Colorado and that spirit. It's really exciting over here in Mesa County. We're really fortunate to have that and to go to each other and say, look, we want to get something done. How do we do that? And we're looking to your neighbor, you're looking to your fellow business owner, and to accomplish these big goals, so we're certainly not looking at DC to accomplish much. So,
well, you guys do a pretty good job of figuring it out. And I think you set a good example for Colorado.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Bobbie, tell me a little bit about why you want to be so involved in the community and why you're taking a run for commissioner. Talk about that.
Well, I have 4 kids. So a 16-year-old, a 13-year-old, a 5 and 6-year-old. And like I said before, I want them to grow up in the America that I grew up in. And I want that. And I think as moms, we would do about just anything to make sure our kids had the same opportunities that we had. So yeah, when the going gets rough, you just do it as a mom because you really love your kids. And I really love people, and I love empowering them and saying, gosh, you have such big dreams. You have amazing talents. You can accomplish the world. And I think just encouraging others, and just making sure our kids have that looking forward in their future.
Okay, so for those of my listeners who are not into politics or don't pay quite as much attention as we do, what does a county commissioner do?
Yeah, so great question. So in Colorado, we're actually, our districts are broken up by county. We have 65 counties in Colorado. And you oversee your health departments. You oversee, and you're just setting those up. They have their own department heads, but you make sure that you approve the budgets for the landfills and your DA and your treasurer. So it's a lot like state government, but on a county level. And then you have public hearings, and you're really listening to the concerns of your citizens. And I'm fortunate enough to walk in the footsteps of some amazing county commissioners that have served in Mesa County. And it's not just writing checks for the landfill. That county commissioners can put more people at the table and really say, okay, what do we want to do as a community? How are we going to meet the needs to better serve our community? And you're taking in a lot of input, and you're solving problems and bringing more people to the table. Those are the commissioners I really admire, that can work with anyone, listen to anyone, have diverse counsel, and really put the people of Mesa County first, with a lot of high energy, and moms tend to get stuff done, walk across the street and build that roof.
I love that. How many county commissioners are there in Mesa?
Yeah, so we have 3 right now, and some counties have a little bit bigger. So some of them have 5, and that's based on population at times. But usually you have a district that you live in, and then everyone in the county will vote on that, on the county commissioners. So
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Well, I'm really excited for you.
Well, thank you.
I think, I think you just have such a great energy about you, Bobbie, and you're really collaborative, and you do your darndest to bring people together to solve problems. And nothing could be needed more right now in our country and in Colorado than just that.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. It's been quite the experience just to take some of my skills that I learned running a business, and hey, what's the problem and how can we get things done? So I'm really looking forward to it. Yeah.
All right. So I think you've listened to the podcast, so I ask every guest a couple questions. And we've talked a lot about what we love about Colorado in this conversation. Yeah. But what's the one thing that when an out-of-stater asks you why you love living here that pops to your mind?
Oh, well, the mountains, for sure. And especially in Grand Junction where I live, we have 3 mountain ranges that we're tucked in and nestled into. So we have the Mesa, we have the Book Cliffs, we have, and the Colorado River runs through it. So when I describe that where I grew up to people, it's quite incredible. It really is. So that would be, that's Colorado to me. That's for sure.
I love that. All right. So what's the most Colorado thing you've done in your life?
Yeah, that's a good one. My dad was a coal miner, and we never camped in a campground, and his most favorite thing was to go find old mines. And then we would go sit on the pile of whatever they had been mining, and then we would pick through what had been left. And we found amethyst, and we'd find big chunks of false gold. Fool's gold is what they would call
How
it.
fun for a kid.
Yeah, but when you're a kid, you think you found the real thing. We struck gold. This is exciting. We're going to be rich. So I think that was probably the most Colorado thing. And that's what we do with our kids too. It's just, take them out and where there's nobody and explore. And it's amazing what you'd find.
There are so many cool spots like that in Colorado that you can do that with. And, it's just, I love the fall. Like right now we're headed into the fall. Yeah. And there's just a spirit like of freshness and newness and just, it's just beautiful. I love it here this time of year.
It is incredible. It really is. We can go up to the Mesa and we have fall color days and it's quite incredible. We're really blessed here.
Well, Bobbie, thank you so much for all you do for the community.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Of course.
I love that you're highlighting all these positive things, and this is needed right now.
My hope is just to let people tell their stories and share our love of Colorado and bring people together that way and have some fun. I get to travel the state and drag around a really cool trailer, so that's cool.
I love it. It's the best. Well, thank you.
Thanks, Bobbie. Thank you for joining us today on Heidi's Colorful Colorado. If you enjoyed this conversation, don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe. And definitely follow me on Instagram to keep up with my latest adventures. In the meantime, happy trails from me, Heidi Daniel.